Hey guys, this is Chris from Deus Ex Machina, and let's be brutally honest about what's been happening in the world and what the future of Deus Ex Machina is. The last month has been a little bit unproductive on the gaming front. I have another business, as some people may know, that's been going on for the last year or two. I've been developing a line of gluten-free crackers called Tavern Snaps. They're fantasy themed because I have access to a lot of art and assets that are fantasy, and I'm a fantasy nerd, so it became Tavern Snaps with a dragon logo. That's doing really well. It has been spreading across Western Canada, and it's generating quite a bit of revenue. In fact, it's creating a situation where has been so frantic and so accelerated that we are having to spend more and more money for ingredients and more bags. So we've actually been losing money as we've been prepping up to produce a lot more crackers to meet the demand. But that's come at the cost of the gaming side. And for me, that's always been my passion. If I could pick a career, I wouldn't pick a cracker maker. I would pick game design and writing. Specifically, the book writing is what I'm really most passionate about. Is telling stories and being able to have people enjoy those experiences. And unfortunately, things have taken a real dire turn. We obviously know the political atmosphere right now. There is tensions between Canada and the United States, and then, of course, there are these this people who know me know I wear my politics on my sleeve. I'm a deeply progressive person. I'm very much on the left, and so obviously I have some strong opinions of what's going on with America, especially in the relation to Canada. But regardless of where we stand on the political spectrum, there's no denying that the last few months have been disastrous for the gaming industry, specifically physical gaming, specifically any physical pen and paper role playing games and board games. Board games have been annihilated. It's weird that there are still companies that are doing print runs on Kickstarter, given what's going on. Some of them are rolling the dice and hoping that the situation will be solved by the time they hit production, which is a little naive. Others are doing something that I have been contemplating, which is something I may go into in the future, where I do my print run in China and then ship it to any European distributor, or even do the print run in Europe for European distribution and avoid any form of those charges. But at that point, it's a really expensive product for America and Canada, and it's basically a European only. But there is a potential that that market is growing. So a lot of these physical gaming companies are moving to that avenue, but for a lot of them, they're closing up operation. CMON, HeroClix, just to name a few. Other ones have closed up shop. And for me, we got hit with some bills at the worst possible time. I'll be brutally honest. What happened was, um, the ultra modern Kickstarter didn't do as well as I was hoping a few years ago, and so I had to merge its print run with Amethyst in order to save money in shipping. We still got hit with the border, but by a pretty steep tariff, and then we got hit with the distribution bill that was twice as much as what I was expecting. Um, the Affinity crowdfunding that was launched in the end of March was kind of a Hail Mary to see whether or not there was demand. Even though I set the goal to 10,000, given the situation in the world, it needed to raise about 60 in order to do everything effectively without me having to go completely into financial suicide in order to make this work. I would have had to take in loans, max out all my credit cards, and I would have been I probably would have been single. I think my wife would have been terribly impressed, but I was prepared to do that. Since then, it's become very clear that that's not an avenue. And so that campaign not succeeding was probably a godsend, but it did create a situation where we have to prioritize paying our bills. And that involves the termination of any print media for the immediate and potentially distant future. It sucks. Now, thankfully, the Amethyst and Ultramodern Kickstarters have been almost 99% fulfilled. If it's those rewards, GM Screens, Ultramodern, Amethyst, those rewards are all Studio 2. Those rewards have all gone out. But it's very clear that we won't be able to print any more Affinity anytime soon. There are a few people that are waiting, and I currently don't have any means of trying to compensate. There's a couple of options that we are thinking of, either a credit towards the numerous digital products that we're going to be releasing, um, But outside of that, it's been a really tight situation, and I like being brutally honest with everybody. I think it's important. I think backers are investors, and so they deserve to know the full situation. It was tough. Naramata, the bowl game campaign from 2019 was not terribly successful. We lost money off of that. We've only made money off of Amethyst Ultramodern, the first Ultramodern, and Affinity. And so we've been trying to keep the ship afloat. I insist on uh, you know, paying people full. I don't hire artificial intelligence for I don't employ artificial intelligence for my art. So I pay people and to accomplish what that work. I do try to do as much work as I can. I do editing. I do layout. I do have an editor, which I do also employ, and we have somebody who does our virtual tabletop stuff. And even that, it's getting to be a bit of a struggle because we're still missing two platforms that we're supposed to be on, Shard and Roll20. And Roll20 is we're showing some progress with Roll20, but it feels like Shard has ghosted us, and there's nothing more I can do. They were the ones developing the project, and if they don't want to work with us, that's not a promise I can fulfill. So now I've had to take any money that we have earmarked for future print runs, and we are throwing it directly into our distribution bills because they are they're being very patient, they're being very friendly, and they're very understanding. But I do realize I have to pay off these bills. I can't just earmark more bills because then it would collapse. And we've seen numerous situations of game companies that keep on hedging their money and pushing the goalposts, and then they eventually stumble. And I don't want to stumble. I don't have another outside of this and Crackers. I don't have another job to lean on to help pay for things. I don't have a reliable stream. I have the wife's reliable stream, and that's not something I want to tap. So that's the ultimate truth. We have ceased all physical production. I do want to develop more projects that may involve physical print runs, but we may do where we print in China or print in Europe and distribute in Europe in that market, and not have an American distributor. But that is a bit of a problem because 90% of my audience is in North America, and how do you handle that? So it's kind of what you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So we've got a couple projects that we are developing. Nick and I are still really desperate to produce an original narrative art book RPG hybrid, and something I'm very passionate about. Ruin Rose is a set of 3 adventures, one of which is the Retroverse Chronicles, which was part of the previous Ultramodern Kickstarter. That is still something we are developing. That requires a bit of a budget, and so I've had to find ways to find coins in the couches to help pay for Nick's services on that. Meanwhile, we have a bestiary that's going to be coming out hopefully soon. We have 440 monsters in this book. It uses all the art assets that we have acquired from the last 15 years of our company. So it's obviously a very big book. I'm going to be developing an armory as well, and I'm hoping that generates enough income to help pay off these bills and then helps us in the future with future digital projects. We also have another adventure called Clonefall, which is the last adventure for the 2022 Kickstarter for Ultramodern. And then we have to kind of see what happens. I really would like to get back into the creative writing, not necessarily game design, because obviously I've just spent the last 6 months building way more monsters than I was expecting. I'm getting double vision looking at monster tables. And so I want to get back into creative writing. I was going to leave it to the audience. I was probably going to make it as a poll that I'm going to release probably soon, whether or not you guys want to would prefer an Affinity Book 2 or an Amethyst Book 4. I have a preference, but I don't want to share it. But one of those I really want to get into. And I may do that as a digital and print-on-demand only Kickstarter. And that goal would only be like $500, not even that, maybe $100, because it's just going to be a digital-only production. And so it's only going to pay for cover and some layout stuff, and everything else is just going to be helping, give me the encouragement to continue writing for those people who are interested in the novels that I do put out, the 3 Amethyst books and the Affinity book, and also House of Sky for those people who like that one offshoot I did. So that's basically where it is. It's a really unfortunate news. It's been a month me kind of developing the energy. I've been trying to focus on the crackers, and I realize I have a responsibility to everybody to tell them what the situation is. It's a really rough spot, and I want to keep on creating. I still want to run Deus Ex Machina, and I want to create content for everybody, but it's been a rough spot. Politics have really thrown a lot of monkeys and wrenches and into gears to stop the machinery. And yeah, like I said, as a Canadian, it's a rough situation, especially as I have another business that is really blowing up and doing quite well. But for me, it's always been writing. If I could choose anything, I would still create games and create stories for an incredible fan base, an incredibly loyal and patient fan base, and I absolutely love everybody who has been supporting me and who has been patient with everything. But I have to apologize for rewards that we fail to send out and won't be able to send out. I'm happy to say it's not very many. There's only, I think, a handful of books that can't be delivered, and I want to find a way to compensate those people. Obviously, a lot of people have been burned on Kickstarter, where they get ghosted by companies and they don't get the rewards, and I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm here telling you guys the brutal truth about everything, and to say that I'm going to keep on working. I'm going to keep on chugging along. I'm going to keep on trying to justify your guys' confidence in what I do. So thank you again. And my next video, I'm going to be going through this bestiary, which is 95% done. I'm actually paying Nick to create some illustrations for creatures called blights. Once that's done, I can create the contents in the index, refine the cover. At the same time, I am personally trying to find a way to create the art book for Threshold, and if I can create that, then I can give me the encouragement to continue our project of creating an illustrated art book for some of our role-playing games. So that's it, and please comment, and hopefully we can be civil. And once again, thank you for your support. This has been Chris from Deus Ex Machina.